Hey folks, Bohas from Independent Solutions here. Ecuador, a small nation nestled in the Andes Mountains of South America, has always had a complex relationship with its economy. Before the devastating 1999 financial crisis, Ecuador's economy was heavily reliant on two primary sectors, oil and agriculture. Oil exports, a significant source of government revenue, made the country vulnerable to global price fluctuations. Agriculture, particularly the production of bananas, coffee and cocoa, employed a large portion of the population. However, this dependence on primary commodities made Ecuador susceptible to external shocks, such as changes in global demand or natural disasters. While these sectors provided a livelihood for many, they also contributed to income inequality and limited the development of a diversified economy. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Ecuador faced several economic challenges, including high inflation, mounting debt, and weak financial institutions. This period saw a series of populist economic policies that, while well-intentioned, ultimately contributed to the instability that would culminate in the 1999 crisis. The seeds of disaster were sown years before the crisis hit, with a lack of fiscal discipline and inadequate regulation of the financial sector creating a ticking time bomb. By the mid-1990s, Ecuador's economic vulnerabilities were becoming increasingly apparent. The country was caught in a vicious cycle of borrowing to finance its deficits, further increasing its debt burden. This unsustainable path, coupled with a lack of structural reforms, set the stage for a major economic crisis.
The 1999 financial crisis in Ecuador was not a sudden event, but rather the culmination of several internal and external factors converging at a critical juncture. Like a perfect storm, these factors combined to create an economic tsunami that would engulf the nation. One of the most significant internal factors was the fragility of the banking system. Ecuadorian banks, often lacking proper oversight and regulations, engaged in risky lending practices. This reckless behavior led to a situation where many loans were not repaid, creating a mountain of bad debt that threatened the solvency of the entire financial system. Furthermore, the government's own fiscal mismanagement played a crucial role in exacerbating the crisis. External shocks also contributed significantly to Ecuador's economic woes. The Asian financial crisis of 1997 to 98 had a ripple effect across the globe, including Latin America. Ecuador, already facing economic headwinds, was hit by a decline in demand for its exports, particularly oil. This decline in export earnings further strained the government's finances and weakened the country's ability to repay its debts. Adding fuel to the fire was a series of natural disasters, most notably the El Niño phenomenon of 1997 to 98. The heavy rains and floods caused by El Niño devastated Ecuador's agricultural sector, further reducing export earnings and impacting the livelihoods of millions. The combined impact of internal weaknesses and external shocks created a perfect storm that Ecuador was ill-equipped to weather. As 1999 dawned, the country found itself teetering on the brink of a full-blown financial meltdown. The economy was contracting, inflation was soaring, and the government was struggling to meet its financial obligations. The stage was set for one of the most severe economic crises in Ecuador's history.
The year 1999 began with a sense of foreboding in Ecuador. The economy, already fragile, was showing signs of further deterioration. By March, the crisis had escalated to a full-blown panic. Banks, burdened by bad loans and facing a run on deposits, began to collapse. The government, desperate to stem the bleeding, declared a bank holiday, closing all financial institutions for 5 days. This drastic measure, intended to buy time and prevent a complete collapse of the banking system, only served to deepen the panic. People unable to access their savings feared the worst. In August 1999, the government announced a series of measures that would have a profound impact on the country. These measures included the freezing of bank accounts, limiting withdrawals, and the devaluation of the sucre, Ecuador's national currency. The sucre, already losing value against the US dollar, went into freefall, losing over 67% of its value in a matter of weeks. This devaluation had a devastating impact on ordinary Ecuadorians. Prices of essential goods skyrocketed, savings were wiped out, and businesses were forced to close their doors. The crisis pushed millions of Ecuadorians into poverty and triggered a wave of social unrest. Protests erupted across the country as people took to the streets to express their anger and frustration with the government's handling of the crisis. The year 1999 would forever be etched in the memories of Ecuadorians as a time of economic hardship, uncertainty, and despair. The crisis exposed the deep-seated structural problems within Ecuador's economy and highlighted the urgent need for comprehensive reforms.
The government's decision to dollarize the economy was seen by many as a controversial lifeline. It stabilized the currency, but came with significant trade-offs. For the banking sector, it meant a complete overhaul of our operations and policies.
The financial crisis hit our communities hard. Many lost their livelihoods, and access to basic necessities became a daily struggle. We had to come together, support one another, and find ways to adapt to the new economic realities.
The crisis led to widespread discontent and protests. It forced the government to make tough decisions and implement reforms. These political repercussions reshaped the country's landscape and affected our governance for years to come.
In the short term, we saw some recovery. Jobs started to come back, and there was a bit of hope. But, the long-term scars, they never really healed. Many families, including mine, were forced to leave everything behind. We had to start over in a new country. It's something you, never forget.
To prevent future crises, it's crucial that we learn from the past. Stronger regulations, better oversight, and, more transparent policies are essential. We must ensure that our financial systems are resilient and that the most vulnerable are protected.
The echoes of the 1999 financial crisis still resonate today. The lessons learned from that turbulent time continue to shape economic policies and inform decisions to safeguard against future instability. The crisis left an indelible mark on the nation's collective memory. The enduring legacy of the 1999 financial earthquake is a testament to the resilience and determination of the Ecuadorian people. Despite the hardships, they have continued to strive for a better future. The crisis, in many ways, became a catalyst for change, driving reforms and sparking a renewed sense of community and purpose.